The number of gauges and indicators varies from car to car, but the typical ones are the speedometer, which shows how fast you're going and how far you have travelled, the fuel and temperature gauges, the tachometer, which shows how fast the engine is running, repeater lights, which show when your indicators are flashing, and a row of warning lights showing oil pressure low, ignition warning, handbrake on, doors open, headlights on main beam, and a few others, depending on the car that you're driving. You should read the manufacturer's handbook so you know what they all mean, and don't drive your car if there's a warning light on.
Hold the wheel with your hands at 10 to 2. To steer left, grip the wheel with your left hand and pull down. Let your right hand slide down the wheel in line with your left. When you get to the bottom, to go further left, grip with your right hand and push up, sliding your left hand over the wheel back to the 10 to 2 position. To go right, pull down with the right and push up with the left in exactly the same way. There is never a reason to drive with your hands crossed like this. The problem is that once you get to this point, you can't steer any further unless you take a hand off the wheel and change position. Unfortunately, there's no standard layout for controls. So when you move from one make of car to another, you can find that you think that you're indicating to make a turn, and the windscreen wipers or the lights come on. Whether the indicator is to the left of the wheel or to the right, one thing will remain the same. To indicate the direction that you're going to turn, you push the stalk in the direction that you're going to turn the wheel. Most indicators self-cancel once you've made your turn, and most cars have flashing arrows on the instrument panel to show the indicators working.
Adjust the door mirrors to show the areas to the right and left of the bit that you can see in the interior mirror.
There are areas behind you that you can't see in your mirrors. The bit that you can see depends on the type of door mirror that you have. If the door mirror is just flat glass, then you'll be able to see about this much. If you have convex mirrors with slightly curved glass, then you'll be able to see about this much. But you have to be careful with convex glass mirrors because they make things seem further away than they actually are. When you're driving, your peripheral vision is very important. To check where your peripheral vision starts, hold your hands alongside your head and move them forward until they just come into view. That's the point that you're going to become aware of a car that's overtaking you if you haven't seen it coming up behind you in your mirrors. So there's an area between the bits you can see in your peripheral vision and the bit that you can see in your mirror that you can't see at all unless you look over your shoulder. And the problem is, while you're looking that way, the car is going that way. And if you look over your shoulder for 2 seconds at 70 miles per hour, by the time you look back, your car has travelled 205 feet. But you do need to look over your shoulder. Just make sure that you don't look away from the direction that you're travelling for too long, and you won't have to look round too much if you're making proper use of the mirrors.
Remember to check your blind spots before pulling away from the curb. Check them when changing lanes, and check them when merging lanes. Look over your shoulder when you join a motorway, or when you lose sight of a vehicle from your mirrors. If you look in your mirrors at least once in any 10-second period, then you'll always be aware of what's behind you before it overtakes and disappears into one of your blind spots. Make sure that you look in your mirrors at least once every 10 seconds. Check your mirrors before making any manoeuvre, and check them before changing speed or direction. You must look in your mirrors before moving off or stopping, and don't forget to check in your mirrors before opening your door. Your driving instructor will keep saying to you, mirrors signal manoeuvre. This is one of the fundamental safety procedures. Look in your mirrors, check that what you're intending to do is safe, signal your intentions, and then make your manoeuvre. To make the manoeuvre, first get the position of the car right on the road, then adjust your speed and also your gear to the manoeuvre that you're about to make. Then look to see that what you're intending to do is safe. This includes looking in your mirrors again, particularly if a following car is overtaking you. The engine runs faster or slower, depending upon how much petrol you squirt into it by pushing down on the accelerator. Push down and the engine speeds up. Lift your foot off and the engine runs slower. If your car has a tachometer, you can see that the engine runs at about 1,000 revolutions per minute when you switch on. As you push down on the accelerator, the engine speed will increase to about 4,000 or 5,000 revolutions in normal use. The engine is most efficient in the middle of this range at about 2,000 or 3,000 revolutions per minute. The engine cannot run at less than about 700 revolutions per minute. Any slower and it just stops. It stalls. But we want the wheels to turn at anything from 0 revolutions per minute to about 1,200 revolutions, and we want the engine to give us more or less push to get the car moving or take us up and down hills as required. To achieve this, the car has a gearbox and a clutch. Power from the engine is transmitted through the clutch to the gearbox and from there to the wheels. The clutch consists of 2 friction plates. One plate is permanently attached to the engine, so it turns all the time that the engine is running. The other plate is held against it by a spring. When your foot is not on the clutch pedal, the plates are firmly held together, and any power delivered by the engine will be passed through to the gearbox and the wheels. When you depress the clutch pedal, the 2 plates move apart, disconnecting the engine from the gearbox. The point at which the plates separate or come back together is called the bite, and you need to be able to make a slow transition through the biting point of the clutch to bring power smoothly through to the gearbox so that you can move off gently, change gear, and drive at slow speed. As you lift your foot through the biting point, the clutch plates come together and power is transmitted from the engine through to the wheels. Depress the clutch pedal and the plates move apart and power stops being transmitted. The gearbox allows you to match the speed of the engine to the speed that you want the car to move. If you've ever tried pushing a car, you know that getting it moving is not easy. But once it starts moving, you don't have to push so hard. If the conditions call for a lot of push and a lot of power, then you need to be in a low gear. As the car gets faster and becomes more easy to push, you change up to a higher gear to keep the engine smoothly delivering power to reach the speed that suits the road conditions. Gears 1, 2, 3 and 4 are in the shape of an H. If the car has a fifth gear, it will be here. The position of reverse gear varies from car to car. On this particular car, it's up here. The bit in the middle is the neutral position. When the gear lever is anywhere across this position, no gear is selected and no power is transmitted to the wheels. When you leave the gear lever in the neutral position, it will automatically center itself. Most cars have disc brakes on the front wheels. When you push the brake pedal, lights come on at the rear of the car to show following traffic that you're stopping. And the disc pads move inwards to pinch the disc and bring the wheel to a halt. The harder you push, the more braking power you apply. The rear wheels have drum brakes. The brake shoes move outwards to push against the drum. When you apply the parking brake, the rear shoes are held firmly against the drum to stop the car from moving. How quickly the car actually comes to a halt depends on a number of things. How fast you were going in the first place, how quickly you react and make the decision to stop, how hard you push the brake pedal, how good the braking system on your car is, whether you're going uphill or down, how much tread the tyres have, how much weight there is in the car and how it's distributed, the type of road surface, and whether there is ice, snow, frost, water, leaves, oil, loose gravel, or anything else affecting the car's grip on the road. The back of your highway code shows shortest stopping distances for a selection of speeds. You must learn these stopping distances in order to pass your test. The highway code tells us that if you're travelling at 20 miles per hour, you will need 6 metres thinking distance and 6 metres braking distance to bring the car to a halt. At 30 miles per hour, you will need a total of 23 metres. At 40, you will need 36 metres. The stopping distance at 50 miles an hour is 53 metres. And at 60, it is 73 metres. At 70 miles per hour, the minimum stopping distance is 96 metres. Don't forget that the stopping distances shown in the highway code are the minimum distances in which you can expect to bring the car to a halt, and they assume good road conditions, a well-maintained car, and an alert and experienced driver. A car travelling at 70 miles per hour covers 102 feet per second. The highway code allows you 70 feet of this as thinking distance. That's only just over half a second in which to make the decision that you need to brake, to move your foot to the pedal, and to start braking. If you don't make the decision to stop, you'll cover the braking distance shown in the highway code in 3 seconds. Another way to slow the car is to change down through the gears so that the engine is running more slowly than the wheels. This is particularly useful when going downhill or when driving on snow. But normally you would expect to slow the car using the foot brake, for the simple reason that brake pads are far cheaper to replace when they wear out than engines are.